Welcome to another episode of My Awesome Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Salim, and this is Mike. And you have a video, sir?
Yeah. We should just start with this and then we'll talk about it.
All right.
In 2007, Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, made a surprising $1 million wager. He bet that a group of sophisticated hedge funds who could invest in anything they wanted to would not be able to beat a simple S&P 500 index fund over the next 10 years. He wanted to prove that the high fees the hedge funds charged were not worth it for investors. 2 years in, the 2009 financial crisis hit, and the index fund dropped 37%, while the hedge funds were only down 24%. It wasn't looking so good for Buffett and his indexing strategy. But in a stunning turnaround over the next 7 years, the S&P 500 rocketed upwards. By the end of the bet, the S&P 500 was up 125%, while the hedge funds were only up 36%. Buffett's big bet proved a powerful lesson. Low-cost, long-term investing can beat even the smartest investors.
All right. Let's just stop right there, even though that was
Yeah.
almost done anyways.
Yeah.
But we were going to kind of talk about investments and some other things that have been going on in the last 10 years or so with crypto and NFTs and a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And I saw this video, and I've always quoted this. Well, not this guy, but the Warren Buffett bet before.
Yeah.
Because I've had people in the past ask me, what should you invest in? What do I invest in? What is a good idea? What's a bad idea? And I'm just like, hey, I'm not even going to give you my advice. I'm going to give you Warren Buffett's advice.
Yeah.
Invest in the overall market. In fact, invest in an index fund based on, the overall market, like the S&P 500, or even something like a Dow-based thing, or maybe even a NASDAQ-based thing. Now, I'm not a professional, so I'm not recommending people just go out and buy this. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is how I answer when my friends ask me this question. And I thought that this video was, it kind of summed up the whole thing.
Right.
My deal is I feel like a lot of people are scared on investments and they don't know what to do. And then on top of that, they hear all this stuff, especially like things you see in media or movies or whatever. Hey, I got a great stock tip.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to go back to something that I believe it was in the 11th grade when we took econ. Was it 11th grade? It might have been 10th or 11th, somewhere in there. And I remember my teacher saying, never invest in anything that you don't understand. So if you look at the things that I've invested in, a lot of them are either indexes for the majority of what I've got. And it's not a get rich quick program, but it is a have money to retire on over time program. And it seems to be working out. I'm in my mid 40s, so it's working out. I've been doing it for a while. But besides that, I have like a lot of tech stuff because that's the industry that I worked in, and that is an industry that I understand to some degree. And I never invest in anything that I haven't like done a bunch of research on. If I'm excited about something and I'm just following a couple different companies because of some things that are about to come out, that's the type of thing that I'm going to invest in because I'm already like neck deep in all the information and I've heard everyone's side of their story.
Yeah.
And that's still not a sure thing, but it's a lot better than, hey, if I were to tell you blah, 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 and you're like, I don't know anything about that company. Oh yeah, you should put money in it. It's like,
Yeah. And I think that you hit on something important is that a lot of people might be scared of the market because they are thinking that it's like a get rich quick thing. You hear a lot about like
or get poor quick.
Yeah, you hear a lot about like penny stocks. So people are thinking that they're gonna find something that's like 3 cents, and then you just put like $500 in it, and then in about 2 months it's gonna be worth millions and millions.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there isn't a market to trade penny stocks, but I am saying for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, that is the last place you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that unless you really were prepared to lose it and you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
But the fact that you said penny stocks makes me feel like you don't.
Yeah.
Because it should be pink sheets or OTC or something like that.
Yeah.
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 Did that make sense to you?
No.
Then you shouldn't invest in those.
Yeah.
Then no. But I think the overall idea that Warren has, where you just invest in the overall market, gives you a couple things. It gives you diversity, which is good. So if one sector has an issue, it will affect you, but not in the way that it would if you were only invested in that.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is, and I feel like a lot of people get this wrong, because I hear, well, if you put it in the market, you could still lose it. Okay, let's just run down that rabbit hole for a second. Let's say you invested in like an ETF, which is just an exchange traded fund on the overall market, like something based around the S&P 500, let's say. Okay. Now, if that fund went to zero, that would mean that the S&P 500 has gone to zero.
Yeah.
And that's 500 companies, which means that our entire economy has just crashed.
Yeah.
So my thought process there is that would completely destroy our economy, completely destroy the dollar. Even if you had one person that invested in the S&P 500 and the other person just stuffed it under their mattress, at the end of the day, it's still both going to be worth nothing.
Right.
But if you look at the overall trend of the market over a long period of time, not short period, but a long period of time, the trend is up.
Yeah.
So again, it's not a get rich quick thing. It's a invest for like retirement and things like that. You have to remove emotion and just put it in there. And then if it starts to go down, whatever you do, do not take it out.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the other time people make mistakes is they get emotional about it. They're like, oh, it was going down. I had to pull it out.
Yeah.
No, you did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
The very first thing you should know about investing is buy low, sell high. If you bought high and then you sold it on its way down, you did the reverse of that.
Right.
And now you've locked in your losses.
Yeah.
I don't know. We started off this video.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's interesting because, it's that's gotten very popular in the last couple of years. So, but yeah, I think that, like we said, the biggest thing is, people are not thinking the long term.
I think the other issue is because people don't know much about it, they're scared and worried. And unfortunately, I think in this society, if you're not willing to play the investment game, I don't know what kind of future you have.
Yeah.
If you're not investing in your own future, then I don't know how you're supposed to retire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's people not thinking retirement.
I mean, we have programs and stuff in this country, but frankly, I wouldn't really want to live on any of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week you said that you didn't have a video, but you've got something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so I just have an article here since we're on the topic of money, and this article is that about Christian Dior, the brand, that they're releasing a skincare line for babies, which I just thought was interesting. In this article, it doesn't really discuss like these costs and these prices here. So, like we've been taking care of babies on, things like some Johnson and Johnson. I mean, I know you don't have kids and stuff, but there's other brands out there that have been used to like take care of children.
Well, and the headline reads, what, $230 for scented water?
Yeah.
And $115 for moisturizer?
Yes. Yeah. Do you think that's prices are crazy at
excessive?
all? Yeah. And So I guess the scented water is like a spray, maybe like a body spray type of thing for babies, you know.
Okay.
Because in the article it lists like, um, you can get it in different colored bottles, whatever. But yeah, I mean, babies gotta smell good. The moisturizer.
Don't babies just smell like babies?
Yeah, they smell like babies.
I guess unless your kid needs a bath or something.
Yeah. But then you got to go with the very expensive Christian Dior brand to make sure that your babies smell the best.
Is this what you're pitching at me? I thought we were pointing out how ridiculous.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
was.
it is a little ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
A little ridiculous.
And I don't know, it really just struck me because, I mean, like, it's just very, like, Christian Dior is a very famous brand, very known for, high end fashion,
Sure.
And a baby line just seems a bit much, especially when it's not kind of geared to like, take on those new parents, and all the extra bills they're gonna have to be paying for their baby.
Yeah. Plus, it's for babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. What this is reminding me of is a couple days ago I was watching Bad Friends.
Yeah.
And everyone was making fun of Bobby Lee because he had a $30 bottle of water, and he was saying how it tasted so great. Well, they were giving him crap on another episode, so this time they got him some of the water. They brought it in, except for when he wasn't there. They poured it into another water bottle and then just filled it from the tap, and gave it to him. And he was talking about how awesome it was. And then they showed him a video of them filling it from the tap.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
$115 for moisturizer and $230 for scented water.
Yeah. So it's a bit much and just seems a little bit ridiculous, but I don't know.
I would just love to talk to who buys this.
Yeah. And you know what? This is a little bit off topic, but your story reminded me of something. So a few years ago, maybe we should try to put like a link up about this story too. But a couple years ago, someone made a little. They took what was that? Payless shoes.
Okay.
And they designed it and made it look like a high fashion shoe store.
Oh,
did you ever see that?
Wait, wasn't it Payless?
Yeah. Oh, did I say Payless? Yeah.
Wait,
it was.
Didn't they do it?
Oh, it was. I thought that it was like another person used the Payless
they like
store.
rebranded it or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were selling like $20 pair of shoes for like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. And you had all these like fashion people come in there and they were like, you can tell these are such high quality.
Yes.
And none of the shoes changed. They only changed like the look of the store to make it look like it was a very, very high end shoe store. But it was just a Payless that was redesigned on the inside. And then you got all these people in there like, oh, this is, such great quality. And like they're looking at the prices and they're thousands of dollar shoes, but they're like, that's such a great price for this shoe. Like it's a deal. And then later on, they expose it like, you really just had to pay less.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I see an article here that says Payless doesn't need to trick bargain hunters with their fake luxury hoax.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was them. I think they did it themselves.
That's funny.
To like point out like there's nothing wrong with our shoes. If we were to tell you that these are $500 shoes, you'd probably be like, oh, you were great.
Yeah.
The other thing, now I've taken it down, but what was it? $230 for scented water.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that scene from Wolf of Wall Street when the dad's in there and he's yelling about their expenses, and he's like, what was it? $19,000 for appetizers? What did these appetizers cure cancer?
Yeah.
And then Jonah Hill's character's like, actually, they did cure cancer. That's why they were so expensive. And they're all like, shut the hell up.
So yeah, a little bit ridiculous, but I mean, I guess maybe if you got people who are enjoying their luxuries from, all that great investing, you got to spend it somehow. Might as well spend it on, some $230 scented
save
water
for retirement, not Blow it on whatever this is.
Yeah.
No, well, hey, all I see is scented water, but maybe it cures cancer, and then it would be worth it.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Moving on to the next one.
For my thing this week, Mike's thing this week, is that what we're calling this?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to talk about hostile architecture.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah. I heard a little bit about that. Go ahead.
Well, I thought you were going to tell me what you thought it was. And then I can make fun of you if you're wrong.
Yeah. No. It's basically almost like it sounds like it's architecture that's designed to stop homeless people from enjoying the surroundings. No.
Yeah, well, it's to stop people.
Yeah.
At some point. So I put a picture up here. This is actually to stop skateboarders from grinding on the edge of this cement barrier or wall or whatever this is. I remember, at least when I lived in the city, seeing these a lot. You would see them on not curbs per se, but any type there was like a small wall or like a retention wall, or maybe even like benches and spots for people to sit.
Yeah.
They would put these. I would also see them on like handrails. Not this in particular. It looked like a $50 cut in half, and then the half round was welded to the handrail, which didn't stop you using it from as a handrail, but you couldn't slide down it on a skateboard. Now that was my main experience with like hostile architecture, but there's a whole nother piece to it nowadays where people are not only trying to stop skateboarders, but also stop homeless people from doing things. I don't even know where to start here. So one of them I saw online was in New York, and there are these grates that go straight through the subway. Well, the subway down there is generally heated, and so in the winter, homeless people would sleep on the grates to keep warm. But then they changed the way the grates are so that they, aren't just flat grates in the cement. They are these raised things that they almost look like art installations where they're all wavy but they're also extremely uncomfortable to lay on.
Yeah.
And they've done this on purpose. So here's my question. You're basically taking away something from a group of people that have almost nothing to begin with.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to say the quiet part out loud here. I understand that cities have homeless people problems. Most of the time, people don't want that, or they don't want it where they are.
Yeah.
And so then cities will do this. And in fact, a lot of times cities are doing this in secret because people are catching on that this is not an art installation. This is to stop people from sleeping on it.
Yeah.
But it seems like in this occasion, we can't find anything better. Like, I don't know. Jump in here because I'm thinking like, is this super screwed up?
Yeah, it is. Because the number one question that came to my mind was, how much do these things cost, like, to do this? How much is the city paying for this? Because in the same breath, you could be doing something to like alleviate homelessness or something to aid in the homelessness problem instead of doing this. Like, I get it that it's unsightly sometimes, like, especially if you have a large homeless population in your city, and then at night or even during the day, maybe they're just sleeping on the benches. But
like, why not use that money to solve the overall problem?
Right.
I think that solving the overall problem would be many more times expensive.
Yeah.
But I threw another one up here on the screen. This is not as artsy as the other ones we were talking about over the grates and stuff, but this is just it's like having armrests for your bench,
Right.
which I think a lot of people would go, "Oh, okay, this is nice," but there's a sub meaning here.
Yeah, because you can't lay on it.
You can't lay on it.
Yeah, and I can see why it's hostile. It's very like passive aggressive,
Yeah.
because Yeah, I don't know. My whole thing is that like I'm sure that there's some other way. I get it if the overall solution may be more expensive, but like this just gives off vibes like I don't care about the citizens in my like the people in the city.
Yeah, but if you didn't know that that's what the double meaning was, and you just looked out, wouldn't you be like, "Oh, these are nice benches"?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
But now that you know, then it's
right.
upsetting.
Yeah.
So would it have been better for me not to bring this up and you just not to know?
No. Like,
Oh, okay. Because like sometimes I feel like, once someone points something out, then you can't stop seeing it.
oh yeah.
So
yeah.
when you're in the city, you might be like, oh, look what they did here. Oh, that's weird. Why did they do that? Well, maybe it's not as much as what it looks like or the utility that you'd use it for.
right.
But maybe it's to deny someone else from using it in a way that they,
Yeah.
I mean, I could understand working in like an office building and then there are some benches outside
Yeah.
and maybe you want to go outside for lunch and sit down and have your lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But then if every time you go out there, there's homeless people sleeping on it because they're trying to hold it for the night or whatever,
Yeah.
then it might be like, oh, but I wanted to have my sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the grand scheme of things, your sandwich shouldn't be more important than them.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to point out, like, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here because
no, I get
that's
that.
how both sides. I'm not advocating that we should use hostile architecture against them, but then at the same time, I kind of get why they're doing it. I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I just think that, there's got to be some better way, and those things are probably coming from like the city leaders, that are, recommending that or proposing that, unless it's coming from the residents of the city. But once again, it's still.
No, I think it is coming from the city leaders, and I think in the past they were able to do these things in an incognito kind of way.
Yeah.
And nowadays people recognize what they're really
Right.
for, and now the people are getting ticked.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you had massive like homeless people encampments, people get upset about that too.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah. But once again, I don't know. I'm still gonna say that it falls on the city. Like I understand that there's hundreds of reasons that people become homeless. And sometimes it's not necessarily the job of the city leaders to like stop you from being homeless, but a way to like aid you if that becomes your situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I know that we're not going to come up with a solution here unless you have a solution and
unfortunately I don't.
Okay. But I just wanted to point it out. I thought that it was interesting, and I think if you don't live in the city, a lot of people don't realize that this kind of stuff happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I know. Like, I don't live in like a huge city, but, there is a, sizable homeless population. So, I mean, I see people, like panhandling near the interstate or like near the off ramps or on ramps, at the gas stations, and I get it how, I mean, I've been stopped so many times when I'm like pumping gas or going into the store and somebody will flag me down asking for change.
Okay, well, let's hopefully move on to something a little bit more uplifting.
Yeah.
What was your thing of the week?
Okay, so my thing of the week was this giant spider here that's on the screen. Does that give you the heebie-jeebies?
It, I don't know if I have like arachnophobia or whatever, but I definitely don't look at it as like warm and cuddly. Like,
Yeah.
like I know some people have these for pets, but I don't know. I prefer like a dog or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I put this up here because you can see from the article below that a motorcyclist was rushed to the hospital after he tried to avoid running into this giant spider.
Like, how big is the spider?
That's the thing. So I don't have that info, but I wanted to talk about this because we've seen like images of like giant spiders in Australia or other countries.
The famous clock spider
Yeah,
that everyone talks
yeah,
about that
yeah,
made it all the way around the internet.
yeah. Now this is not that.
Yeah, I mean, you said California, so this has got to be like
Yeah.
the California tarantula. Is there another?
I don't think there's another picture on there,
No.
but it's got to be like at least the size of your palm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or maybe slightly smaller.
Yeah, but big enough that this guy was like trying to avoid it, and he swerved out of the way, ended up crashing his motorcycle and injuring himself.
I mean, I will tell you, I have a motorcycle a license, and I have a motorcycle,
Yeah.
and you definitely have to watch what you hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he could have
But-
thought it was a rock. Maybe thought it was a because
Maybe
that
if
would
he
be,
thought, yeah, if I thought it was a rock, I would definitely move too.
yeah,
But if he thought it was a spider and he moved, I'm sorry, I would almost hit this
yeah,
because you could get. Well, he went
Yeah,
to the hospital. You
yeah.
get seriously hurt.
yeah. Like I haven't driven a motorcycle, but and I know that it's not as big of a tolerance as a car SUV. But what, I mean, there's almost nothing that you can hit. Like if you're coming up on a possum, you can't just keep going. Like in a car, if you're like, oh, possum, you better move because I can't swerve over. Oh, and you hit the possum. You don't have that luxury. In a motorcycle.
No, it's yeah, you don't have that luxury, and you certainly don't want to hit potholes and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you can't run over some things, like
Mm-hmm.
you can hit potholes and things, but you have to be. You're really asking for it. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just so many more things you have to pay attention to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly other drivers, I would say.
Oh,
Say one of the biggest problems with riding a motorcycle is people will get to an intersection, they'll look both ways,
yeah.
and in their brain they're thinking, is another car coming? And when they don't, like their brain doesn't do the pattern recognition of a car, then they start to go. And there's been so many times where I've made eye contact with other drivers and they even nod to me,
Yeah.
and then they start to pull out right in front
Oh,
of me.
yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm always very defensive when I'm on my bike, and I think I don't know. Swerving for a spider is a tough call.
Yeah.
Because if I knew it was a spider, I might hit it.
Yeah.
But if I thought it was something else, or I didn't know what it was, and I just didn't want to hit anything, I could see moving.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I haven't been in that situation. I've hit things in a car because I'm not gonna move out the way, trying to avoid a squirrel.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I've got a car that I mainly use to like go to the grocery store and stuff, but then I also have a truck for like going to the hardware store or whatever, and that truck is just an old like beater piece of crap truck I just use for like one or two things.
Yeah.
And it's already in bad shape. And there's been, I don't know, like I've already complained about the geese around here. There has been at least 2 or 3 times where it's like the geese are running beside the road, and I'm only maybe going like 30 or whatever, the speed limit around here. And then right as I get in front of them, they arc across the street.
Oh, yikes.
And I'm just kind of like, I haven't hit one yet. When it happens in my car that I want to like protect, because I don't, there's nothing wrong with that car. I don't want it to get screwed up.
Yeah.
I'll 100% jam on the brakes. But when I'm in my truck and I see them, I just think, do it right now, and it'll be the last thing you do. There's been a couple times where like they've just barely missed me, and I think, no, this thing is already covered in scratches and dents. I'm not doing any evasive maneuvers because they decided to cross the street the second I got to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, the spider one with the bike, that's messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing that we were talking about, and I think this is going to be more of a theme of the stuff that I'm doing today, is investments. we already kind of talked about what Warren Buffett said, but I hear a lot of people also talking about Bitcoin and NFTs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like whatever the new trendy thing is, everybody wants to get on board.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like a lot of people actually understand what either one of these things are.
Yeah.
They've heard the
Right.
buzzwords, they've seen the news, but I don't think they get it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to me like what Bitcoin is or cryptocurrency?
Not necessarily, because I'm one person who's heard the buzzwords,
Okay.
but haven't really dug into that.
I mean, just to say like, and I've always heard this as like an argument. Well, you know, they'll go into the hardcore definition of, well, it's a decentralized electronic currency. You can put worth to just about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure back in the day, people traded whatever,
Yeah.
and they just looked at it as like the way we look at money today.
Yeah.
Okay, so it had worth to them.
Yeah. So basically, but like cryptocurrency is like digital money, right?
Yeah, but it's not backed by anything. But either is the United States dollar. It's not backed by anything. We're in our own system where we create our own worth to it. Because we say it's worth this, it's worth that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You have to believe, like we have to, like it's a system. Like we have to agree
Right.
that $5 is a $5 bill. Like,
And that's exactly how these cryptocurrencies work. Because people have agreed that they're worth a certain amount of money, then they're worth that. Now, back in the day, like our dollar was backed by something. It was backed by gold. We were on the gold standard. But, you know, we're not anymore. And these things aren't backed by anything. So the issue is that because of the environment that they exist in, I would say that they are much more volatile than, like, again, I'll just make the comparison to the dollar. The dollar is backed by our economy and our markets and things like that.
yeah.
This is backed by like speculation and people thinking that they're going to get rich quick, I feel.
Yeah.
And then the other flip side of it is because of the way it works, because it is decentralized, there's no one group you can go after. There's no one thing you can attack, which adds some things. It adds a level of security and other things to it.
Yeah.
It's also much harder to take down, but also adds like a level of anonymity, because it's not like when you go work with a bank and you have to like tell the bank like, this is who I am, and give them papers and show them your ID and stuff like that. You can just go online and buy crypto.
Yeah.
So it opens the door for a lot of like nefarious things.
Yeah.
If you wanted to if you wanted to move large amounts of money and do it anonymously, then it feels like crypto, and especially these NFTs, are an easy way to do it.
Okay. So question. So, because you said that there's like multiple groups. So would that be like, you know, the Bitcoin or versus like
Dogecoin
yes,
or
yes.
Ethereum or any of these.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're all basically the same thing. They're just different ones. It's like comparing like the dollar to the peso or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But I think people have seen this in the media and they think, well, this is a good investment. See, the difference between this and like what I was saying earlier, or I was repeating what Warren Buffett said, I should say it that way.
Yeah.
To invest in the overall market, that is backed by something.
Yeah.
The economy, all of it. So there's actual incentive to keep it at certain levels. People need jobs, and then with jobs, then they make their own money, and then they use that as consumers, and then it's the whole cycle of life. But a lot of this crypto isn't how do I say this? You can't use it everywhere that you can use like dollars. And so a lot of it is driven by just the people wanting it to go up.
So if there's like if you have some Bitcoin or and it's worth, I don't know, 50 cents. Like
No. Like a one Bitcoin's worth quite a bit of money,
yeah.
like 60 grand or something.
Yeah, I'm just making an example, but who determines that? Or is
actually 36 grand is one Bitcoin, but the market itself determines that. The people who have these Bitcoins and they're willing to trade it, so or willing to exchange it for whatever their another coin or actual services and goods.
Okay.
But that is kind of how the dollar works. But the issue is that the dollar is also backed by an entire economy, and these aren't.
Yeah.
But then the other part of it is now we've had, or I should say, in the last 10 years or whatever, we've seen the rise of NFTs. And the thing that this shares with crypto is crypto has a ledger system that is called the blockchain.
Okay.
And so the blockchain is basically a sophisticated way of keeping track of all the exchanges that happened with that currency. Well, NFTs are actually tracked in the exact same way using a blockchain. So and the blockchain is just a very sophisticated like ledger system, so you can prove who owns what. And because it's decentralized, there are many copies of the blockchain out there, and then these systems will check itself to make sure that nobody's tampered with it or changed the ledger. So it's a very secure way of doing business.
Yeah.
But the issue is that I think it was because it was new, and crypto was making all this money and noise, and people were thinking this is a great investment. Then along came NFTs, and you started seeing like wild prices for really weird things that I just don't agree with.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if this is one of those things where people actually thought this was a good investment, paying millions of dollars for a small JPEG.
Yeah.
Or is there something else on the side going on here? And it's sort of like how you always hear, like, the reason why art is worth this painting's worth $100 million and somebody paid for it is because they're using that to evade taxes, or if you purchased it in one country and then just shipped it to another and then sold it there, that's way different than actually transferring funds from one country's bank to another bank.
Right.
That's all going to be reported.
Yeah.
Do you think any of that? I mean, are these NFTs or whatever worth it, or is this some other sub scam?
No. Thinking about it now, I mean, it sounds like it's, part of something more nefarious, like a, more of a scam. Because if you can, give someone, $360,000 and you're making it like you're buying a cryptocurrency with that, but like it's just a hidden way of like transferring money or moving money, I should say.
I mean, it could be used that way. I actually think cryptocurrencies are the future. I don't necessarily think any of these cryptocurrencies are the future. I think, unfortunately, it's probably going to have to be backed by something like a country or something like that. I know that I believe I was reading that China was doing something with crypto and maybe even doing like a state-sponsored crypto.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know if it's necessarily that's the recipe to make it work, but I just don't see these free-flowing ones out in the wild. And I certainly don't take it as investing. I take it as gambling.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, let me just get this straight. So is this from like when you transfer money between two people digitally?
Yeah.
Like, is this the result of that? Like, because you're not actually moving physical money. Like, I can digitally transfer like $100 from one account to someone else.
See, but that's still all in the U.S. dollars.
Yeah.
So this would be like, let's say we both agreed that this cup was worth $10.
Mm-hmm.
So if I transfer $10 to you, then the bank would have a ledger of it.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, well, I guess I'm saying two things. So I guess a thing we could do is, if we all agree that this is $10, then I could buy this for $10, then sell it to you for $10, and then get my $10 back.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
It's like exchanging your money for like foreign currency.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Except for this is just digital and it's online.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way, I don't think of it as like an investment. And I don't think of it. I mean, I guess there could be an argument being made about how traders can trade foreign exchanges and make money that way. And you could do the same thing for crypto.
Yeah.
But I don't think like, I've heard several people talk about like buying and holding. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of stuff happening in social media where they're like pumping up schemes and other things where they will go online and tell everyone, buy this crypto, it's going to be worth so much money.
Yeah.
And then all they're doing is pumping up the price. And then one day they just stop talking about it and they sell out of all the crypto. And then the rug gets pulled out from underneath it and it just all falls.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
But on the other side of it is all of these NFTs. And I do think storing things in the blockchain is a very interesting way to keep track of sales or other things like NFTs. But again, I don't think of it as an investment. I think of it as kind of like a joke. Like, you know, I almost feel like years ago, if you said to someone, I'm going to sell you this JPEG for $50 million.
Yeah.
But now people have maybe not 50 for one JPEG,
Right.
but there was, I looked it up. The largest NFT sale was this thing called the Merge. Now it's not just one thing. It was many things, and the price started at $2.99, and the price went up by $25 every 6 hours, and you could buy these tokens, these NFT tokens. But when the whole sale was done, it was worth $91.8 million. I don't know. I hear numbers like this for digital things that aren't even tangible.
Yeah. Okay, so like a digital image, like a JPEG. So you don't think that has value?
I think it does have value, but not at these prices.
Yeah.
Like, if it was, let's say a well-known artist who maybe does things in the digital, I was going to say digital realm and then the real world, and has already established themselves. But I guess moving forward, they don't have to establish themselves in the real world. They could just be doing it. If there was already a market for that, and you knew, because I do think some art is investing, but I don't know, these like came out of nowhere and then were worth everything.
Yeah.
And they didn't seem that complicated. And then the bottom fell out of it. And I just thought, well, of course. I mean, what was that?
Yeah.
It just felt like a scam or a way to launder money or something else.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it as any of it as an investment is my deal.
So like it feels like it could be that much money, because if you make a JPEG image that's just digital, like a digital image, like how quickly can that spread? Like, you may like make an image and that can be shared and copied and like multiple times. So if you have the ability to sell that for a large amount of money, that seems legit based on...
Well, it's almost, think of back in the day with Napster, right? Just because everyone had the ability to copy music doesn't mean they had the rights to copy the music. So the artists that actually, or the recording companies, I should probably say, who held the rights to that music, they had the right to go after anyone who used it without their permission.
Mm-hmm.
So if you owned an NFT of whatever, a JPEG or something,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody else wanted to use it, you could license that use,
Mm-hmm.
or you could just sue them and say, no, nobody can use it,
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah.
But you're right, it won't stop people from copying them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some of these I've actually seen stored in the blockchain as a link to a server, and the server held the JPEG. And I just think, wow, if that company that maintains that server ever goes down,
Oh, yeah.
or the server fails,
Mm-hmm.
you should have stored the whole JPEG in the blockchain.
Yeah.
At least then it would be decentralized and preserved forever.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of people that don't know anything about investing ask me about like Bitcoin or NFT, or because they know that I'm a nerd and that I'm into like technology,
Yeah.
and that I'll probably know more than them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I know is I don't think it's a real investment. Now, that doesn't mean that there haven't been people that have made money off these things, but
Yeah.
if you don't know anything about investing, I wouldn't. That's not where I would get into.
Yeah.
I'd listen to the big players, like what Warren Buffett says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You think that you should be involved in like quote unquote actual investing before going into NFTs and crypto? Like if you do that, because maybe your basis of knowledge will come from real investing, or are you saying they're like two totally different?
I would say they're two totally different things. And the other thing is that it just feels like that crypto and NFTs are very speculative right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like a stable thing. It feels like gambling.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm against gambling.
Yeah.
I like gambling once in a while, but know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Don't try to disguise investing as what or gambling as investing, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions on the topics that we've had today, please leave some feedback below in the comments, and we will gladly continue this discussion. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.